of the major arcana. Here at the Pomegranate major arcana.
Hello.
Hey.
Baloney. Where am I?
Does Judge Judy actually say baloney?
Yes, she does.
Oh,
I love it.
I can't say that I've ever watched it, but I've heard of it.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. But yeah, here we are at the courtroom. No messing about today, young lady.
Do you know how difficult it's going to be for me to?
That's what she does.
So you have to be Judge Judy through the entire podcast.
Oh, I wish. I can remember, you know, when you have those conversations about if you could have a dinner party and invite anyone you liked in the world, or even dead people, whatever, she was always on my list of people that I would like to invite to my dinner party.
You don't think she'd like ruin it?
I don't know. I just really like her. And I just feel like all the things that annoy me, I could say, what is the fair solution to this? And she would come up with it. She very much is, sometimes she'll sort of say, like, the law is this, so I am, you know, the defendant wins. She says, but that's the law, so I have to stick by the law. But I think you should just go away and sort yourself out and all of it. And she will give her own opinion as well. So she will actually come down with the legal judgment, but she often will throw her own opinion in as well. And I love
Oh, see, I like that, because sometimes the letter of the law.
Well, she has to stick to, ultimately, she has to stick to the letter of the law, but she certainly lets her own particular kind of opinion be known.
God bless her. Yeah.
Oh, no,
okay, I
she's
might have
great.
to watch
Oh,
her.
it's a bit addictive.
Oh.
I think she'd be a terrible tarot reader because she would definitely bring her own bias into it.
That's the thing about Justice. She's supposed to have no bias, none whatsoever. And a lot of times she's depicted actually with a blindfold, because she's not supposed to judge outside of the law. And
yeah.
that would work in a perfect world. But we don't live in a perfect world. So justice is often rather skewed in reality.
Well, at least we have it. It's better than not having it at all.
It truly is. It truly, yeah, I agree. I
mean, I agree. It may not be perfect, but I mean, you hear so many cases, don't you, of, you know, he killed someone and he's only got 18 months or whatever. And, you know, there doesn't seem to be a logic to this person got 25 years, but all they did was this, but that, you know.
Yeah.
It does seem a bit kind of like a lot of things within it are not right, but it is better than not having it at all.
I agree. And I may have to cut this out, but I'm going to tell you something that happened to me about, oh wow, almost 20 years ago, but it still burns. And I may have told you this, but I was working like brutal hours in a very physical job as a produce manager, unloading the truck, putting everything out. It was a very physical job and a mental job as well, because I ran the department. And so by the time I got home, it's like when I got home, my feet would be bowed because I'm running on that concrete all day. I would be like bow-legged, limping. And nobody in the house was helping with anything. But I'd get home, I'd do the dishes, I'd put the laundry off the floor into the basket, all that stuff. And one day I was like, you know what? I'm going on strike. I'm going to see how long it takes these people to realize that I ain't helping out in the house and see how bad it gets, right? Oh, don't ever do that. Don't do it. So I had a previous relationship that figured that I had something that belonged to them and they wanted it back. And I kept telling them, I don't have it. This is not in the house. You can come over and check, anything like that. But he sent the police. And the police didn't even look. They came in my door, took one look. There's clothes on the floor, dishes from wherever anybody was sitting where they set it down. Mine were the only dishes even in the sink. Just the house was a mess. And Mandy, I got arrested. I went to jail.
No way.
I
No.
went to jail.
Oh my God. How long did you go to jail for?
Well, the good thing is I was only in jail for a day. Like I had my own little cell. Nastiest bologna sandwich you ever met in your life. It was wet. It was a wet bologna sandwich. But my brother-in-law at the time was the chief inspector for the police. So as soon as he heard that what had happened, he came to the station and he did something so that we didn't have to pay bail. He signed for it. He like, what is that when they cover for you or
I sort of know what you mean, but I don't know the name.
Yeah,
of it.
but he did that because he was like, this is ridiculous. But we did have to go to court and everything.
No.
Oh.
What were you? I mean, were you found not guilty? I mean, what was the crime?
So we were there for most of the day in court, and the judge was a recovering alcoholic. And he wasn't shy about telling people that. And everybody ahead of us in court for the morning part was either people who were in for DWI, DUI. One man had killed a person drunk driving. And there was a lady in there that was shooting up whatever people shoot up. I don't know. But she had her infant with her when she was doing it. That was why she was arrested. And the judge was like, really feeling for these people. I know everybody makes mistakes. He didn't find them. He didn't put them in jail. He did make all of them go to classes and meetings, but he was really lenient on everybody who had any kind of addictive quality that they were there for. And then me and Paul went up, and Mandy, I could have killed Paul. We've been there for hours, okay? And we get in front of the judge, and Paul leans over and whispers in my ear, baby, your shirt's on inside out.
Oh my,
I was freaking out.
oh my God.
And you know me. I went into fits of hysterical giggles because I'm in front of everybody and my shirt's on inside out. Judge is like, do you find something funny, young lady? I was like, no, sir, no, sir. And I still couldn't get a straight face, but we were fined.
What?
And I was on probation for a year.
Well, I don't understand. What was your crime?
House negligence, not cleaning my house.
You've got to be kidding. And have you got a criminal record?
I do. I certainly do.
I can't believe that I'm working with a criminal. Oh my God.
Look,
This
see,
is terrible.
even now, I'm red telling it. I'm so embarrassed.
Oh my God. If that's not justice reversed, I don't know what is. It is hilarious though.
It is.
I mean, you know, you could talk about the kind of injustice of the law until the cows come home. You know, like the current situation now, here of being a landlord, and you can't evict a tenant, you know?
Yeah.
And the tenant doesn't even have to pay you, and nothing will be done about it. There will be no consequences. That is the law, you know, because of the virus. And
Yeah.
it's like simple as that. It's just, and it's like, who is making up these laws, and on whose behalf is it? Because it's certainly not in favor of, you know, a decent sort of landlord who's renting out property or whatever. And there's so much evidence of laws being kind of very one-sided and not working properly. It's, I mean, and not being fair. I've always had a very strong sense of justice. I can even remember when I was like not a child, but maybe like 10, 11-year-old sort of child, and I used to get comics, you know, like where you get comic strips and you buy the magazine every week to see what's happened. And I can remember getting very upset when people were being treated unfairly.
Yes.
I hate like bullies and things like that, and people throwing their weight around and throwing their power around just because they can. And that's what you're saying has happened to you. And that's what's happening to a lot of people now in certain situations, because the law is kind of not accommodating. Or, I mean, it's even like being the tarot reader. When I was using the little credit card thing, and I got the thing coming through saying the law of the country that made this machine or something dictates that this cannot be used for, I can't remember what was on the list. It was things like illegal drugs, arms, selling arms to kind of terrorists,
child pornography,
and fortune telling.
and don't forget the travel agents.
Oh, travel agents and fortune telling. I mean, it was like, what? I mean, honestly, Sharon, there are just a million examples of the law just being so messed up. And
do you know that in Georgia, I can't keep a straight face, this is a real law. In Georgia, it is illegal for me to keep a donkey in my bathtub.
You're kidding.
It's a law.
What
Kid
the
you
hell?
not.
I mean, doesn't that just sort of say it all? The nonsense of it all.
Yeah, I got tears in my eyes. I'm laughing so hard. I just think that's there are some really strange. And the thing, okay, so we're talking about the law, and injustice is definitely justice in reverse. It's like no doubt. But the problem with the card justice is that a lot of people, especially beginners, jump straight to the law, just like we have. But it doesn't always have to be a legal thing. It trips people up when it's not a legal thing. But it's about fairness and unfairness and honesty and being kind. It's not so much justice as the law dispenses it in the world we live in. This would be, to me, justice in a perfect world, the tarot.
Yeah. I mean, I think you've got to look at the scales and you know, as a big clue there. It's about balance, isn't it? And it's kind of like, is something fair or not fair? Like, you know, is it, if somebody is doing all the work and the other person's just exploiting them, is that fair? No.
Right.
You know?
And that's a beautiful example. You can see that. I don't remember who it was, but we were doing a group reading. I wish I could remember specifics, but there's so many of them. But there was one of the students that, I know who it was. It was John Wartenberg. Thank you. And he was actually doing a reading for himself, and we were guiding him, and he got justice. And I was blown away. He was like, wow, I'm not being fair to myself.
Yes.
And I thought that was just absolutely brilliant.
Yes.
Yeah. So it
I
doesn't
mean,
always have to
yeah,
be.
I've got to say, I have taken pride in, I do think I'm a fair person. I do think that is a quality about me that I know people have said about me quite frequently over the years, that I will always be fair. I will always try to listen to both sides of the situation before kind of coming to a decision about it. I will try to, but you know, am I as fair as I think I am? Right? Yeah, it's very easy to think that about yourself. Am I like John? Am I being fair on myself?
Yeah.
A lot of the time, not. Am I yeah, and I also, when I first learned the tarot, I got very confused between justice and judgment because the words sound similar. It took me quite
And
a
they feel
while.
the same.
They're very different though, aren't they?
Yes, yes, they are.
They are
And
very different. So we're now talking about justice. And the other thing is, we were taught, and I'm happy we were taught this, not to do readings on legal matters anyway. So
right.
when it, and I've always kind of stuck to that, right? So when I do a reading, I'm never asking about a legal situation. So in the very rare event that that might come up, you know, and it feels like it's a sort of a official sort of thing, I would just say, I think you need to sort of seek legal advice or professional, find out how the law stands on this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I don't delve into it at all.
And I won't either. I won't. I would
Not
rather
worth it.
say, ask for legal advice, which is good advice in and of itself.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But
Yes,
as far
but that
as
card comes up. That card comes up frequently, and it does, and it's only on the odd occasion that I would go down. I would think they need legal help. Usually, it means something entirely different.
Yep.
It just means the situation isn't fair, or the situation seems fair. It seems balanced. It
Yeah.
kind of like, it feels it's all above board or whatever. I would trust it. That sort of thing.
And that could apply to people, situations,
Exactly.
places. It could apply to anything, just like any other card. And one thing I forgot to pull them up. It's like I got so excited talking about her. But one of the ways that I am able to separate justice from judgment, which is another difficult thing, and this does not always apply like as per a reading, but it's a good way to keep them separated for me. Justice is human law, human fairness, and judgment is divine law, divine fairness.
I love that. And that is a very sort of clear distinction between the two. If you're going by having to make a sort of a judgment about what's right and what's wrong,
Yeah.
could come under justice. Though, but justice being done sometimes does feel like some sort of punishment, or it could do, or some sort of revenge.
Yes.
Or kind of like, you reap what you sow.
Yeah.
That there is that kind of in it. Whereas the judgment is more the kind of the wake-up call. It's more the kind of, that was another thing that you just said, and I know we've had this conversation before somewhere online, but I was really shocked the first time I heard you call justice her.
Yeah.
I always thought it was a man. Then I found out that in America it's definitely considered female.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's like all the pictures, like the picture I've got on my background here.
Yes. Yeah.
I typed in justice, and bloop.
Yeah.
She's got a little blindfold on there. See?
Oh yes. Yes.
So I think I
You
don't
might be
think
right. I just always assumed it was male, but
I don't think that
it could be either.
it really has. Yeah, it could be either. I don't think that gender thing really applies. It's just I personify everything anyway, including my refrigerator and my oven.
Yeah, I just think, you know, like when a ship sails, they always call it she.
Yeah.
You know, like she has been launched or whatever. I think maybe Justice is referred to as she, but to me, I don't think I suppose I've never really had to deal with justice on that sort of
I think it's
level.
because it feels like such a masculine cardinal energy. You know?
Well, Libra would be, wouldn't
Yeah, because you think in Libra, but to enforce it, the rules that go around it in reality in the world, or at least in my reality, I find it very Capricorn.
Yeah.
So I think that this particular card is Libra, obviously with the balance going on and everything, but that's justice, I think, in its purest form. But the law itself is a very Capricorn thing, which is feminine.
That's true. Yeah, that is true. Well, justice is justice. I mean,
Male or female, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, life just isn't fair. So for this card to come up in reverse is no great shock.
Yeah, right. And even when it comes up right, the person you're reading for or you yourself may not feel that justice is being done, but because this is the man, you know, the justice of men, it may be a fair justice. It's just you don't feel it is because if you're the one who did the crime. Do you understand what I mean?
I've got to say, like, people have got different mentalities.
Mm-hmm.
Like years ago, I had my laptop stolen, and this is a really long story short, but the mother of the boy that stole it told us where the laptop was, right? She knew he'd stolen it. She even told us where it was and where we could get it back. And Dean had to go and buy my laptop back off of someone for £100 from a kebab shop in Ilford, right? It was ridiculous, right? And then for some reason, that is definitely the story, but for some reason, I got the police involved as well. And I was being called all the names under the sun. And it was like, well, hang on a minute. But that was their mentality. Like, I was being this awful woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just a minute. Let's just get this clear. What, how are you missing the fact that I'm the victim here, that your son stole my laptop and we've had to go and buy it back from a kebab shop in why am I being treated like I'm the one that's in the wrong here? So me and the mother of the criminal were coming at this from two completely different mentalities. I thought she wasn't being fair, and she thought I wasn't being fair.
Okay, that's a whole can of worms. But yeah, you had every right. You had something stolen from you.
Yes.
And there needed to be repercussions, and you had to pay for your computer back.
The fact that justice even exists means that there are two sides to something. Probably both sides believe they are right.
Yeah.
So whatever way you look at it, somebody is going to come out of it feeling that was fair and the outcome was fair and that was right. And someone else is likely to come out of it thinking that wasn't right. That kind of, you know, they're going to be upset about how kind of
exactly
about the scales tipping the other way. And I think
that's why I'm saying
fairness comes up all the time, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And when I say even upright, justice doesn't always mean that it will be in whoever you're reading for's favor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose really, if it was ideally fair and square and those scales were absolutely balanced, it's almost saying compromise, isn't it? It's almost saying that the situation has been resolved where both parties kind of like, it's a fair, they
Yeah.
found a compromise, they found a fair sort of outcome.
Yeah, because it doesn't always have to be as
Black one side or the other.
right. I'm glad you said that too. I'm going to show you one of my cards I brought. You just boom. Everyday Enchanted. She is mitigating their argument.
Yes. Yes.
I love that. And she's
I
tough.
like the two little red fairies underneath.
Yep. They're
And the two little wasps ready to sting above.
Didn't even see the wasps.
Oh my God. So this is all to do with the car accident.
Yep, the car accident in the back, and they're yelling at each other, and she's coming in to mediate. The ambassador. She's even got a little Libra necklace on. I love it. So,
Well, here's the thing, right? That I don't know if it's the same in America, but over here, if you are the car behind, it's always your fault. It's kind of end of.
Yes.
But that is not entirely fair, because there are certain situations where the car in front could have been going backwards, like it could have been rolling backwards, or they might have misjudged it, but you would still get the blame because you were the car behind. So
yeah. And in Japan, when I lived there, which was a good 30 years ago, so it may have changed by now, but in Japan, even if you were parked, like say I parked at the grocery store and was in the grocery store and somebody hit my car, it's still partially my fault for parking my car in that parking space.
of course it's your fault.
But I love this card because it shows it could be everyday stuff where tempers get overblown, but
road rage happens all the time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All the time. Oh God. Human beings.
Aren't we a mess?
Yeah.
You brought, okay. I'm showing your card from the Housewives Tarot.
Had to be done. Now, that to me is just hilarious, because it's a bit like, sorry, but you have to be punished. You've been naughty, and the only way to get justice done is by punishing you, whether you like it or not. It's gonna. And so this is very much about a punishment type justice. It's hilarious.
It is hilarious. I love that wooden spoon.
I know, but it's just so funny.
That's definitely.
I love the sense of humor of the Housewives Tarot, but yeah. But I know, it is funny that being a parent, which could come up for a tarot reading, when you've got to deal with a child, like, there are two obvious ways of doing it. Number one is that you reward them when they do something good.
Yeah.
And the other is that you punish them when they do something bad. So you're negotiating all the time, sort of, do I kind of offer an incentive to be good, or do I threaten with a punishment? It's commonplace in a parent-child situation.
That makes me think, okay, like what you said about the computer, that the mother was so angry that you got the police involved, or that child had to have repercussions for his crime. That is an injustice from mother to child, because she's not teaching him the way of the world. You know what I mean?
That's true too. That is true as well.
Discipline is a way to teach our children.
I just want to make this clear. This child was a sort of growing up teenager. It wasn't like it was a 6-year-old. We're talking about maybe a 17, 18-year-old.
Oh.
No, this was not a child. Just to be clear here. Yes.
So he probably didn't even think he was doing anything wrong because he'd never had to pay any consequences.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I mean, people will, by nature, take do what they can get away with.
Yes, they will.
And how many times if you said to someone, does that seem fair? And they might say, well, no, not really, but if I can get away with it, I will.
That's sad. That makes me sad. So we do need justice. We need the law. We need the law. It's just, it's not always that perfect thing, but we need it.
It is definitely better than nothing. Yeah.
And I did bring another one. I'll try to be brief. This is from the Modern Spellcasters. And I find it beautiful. And I do believe that she's the goddess Dike, who is the goddess of human law. Virgo. It's Virgo, actually.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And Libra, okay. But the scales are more Libra. The woman is actually Virgo. She's got that wheel behind her. And I love...
Huh? What is the wheel doing there in the middle of the justice
I think
card?
It's the Wheel of Fortune.
It's unusual, isn't it, for that to be in the middle of the justice card? But
look at her hand. Look at her hand holding the pomegranate. Do you see how it ends and turns skeletal? And it doesn't end pretty. That's a bloody mess.
Oh my God.
I think it shows the imperfection of justice. I think it shows that justice is actually a man-made thing, and it's very subjective. It's very personal. That not everybody sees justice as the same way. And
you could see justice. I don't know why looking at that made me think of it, but like, you know, you get these people and they can just eat whatever they like, but they remain skinny.
Yes.
That's not fair.
That's not fair.
I only have to think about a bar of chocolate and I'm suddenly like 2 stone fatter, right? You know, that is not fair. And you know, and it's certain people kind of get all the luck, don't they, as well? That's not fair.
That's really not fair.
We should do a competition of like who can come up with the best list of things that are just not fair.
Okay, you guys, start listing it in the comments.
Yeah, we can just get it out of your system, and let's go for the justice reversed list of the year. Like the New Year's honours list. It's the justice reversed list.
I want to see that. Okay.
Not fair, not fair, not fair.
And you brought one more card.
I did. I love this. Okay, so you've got a superhero, right? Holding the scales in their mouth, right? With the strength of the lion sort of like below, and it looks like the house is burning down. I mean, it sort of says to me, the minute I look at this, how difficult it is to keep things in balance and to please everybody and to make things fair. It's pretty much impossible, right?
Yeah.
And that's upright.
And what, that hand where the finger's like popping off.
Yeah.
I love your interpretation of it because, yeah, it has to be almost impossible. And that's why things go wonky sometimes, you know?
And the other thing is the lion, who is like the king, he looks completely calm, and it's kind of like, whatever, I sleep 23 hours a day. Like, I don't care as long as I get my meat or whatever. And it's kind of like the rest of the world is absolute chaotic. And the only chance for the rest of mankind is for some sort of superhero to appear and save us all from ourselves. And even that's like an impossible task. I mean, if that superhero tries to speak, the scales will fall. I don't know. It's mad.
Wow.
It's brilliant.
It is. Wow.
What is that white thing in the other hand?
I'm not sure. It looks to me like a kerchief, like a handkerchief. I don't know if I'm saying that right. That's not a word I use a lot. It's like maybe to mop up all the blood. I don't know.
Don't know. The lion looks unscathed, but I just think for everybody else, justice, I mean, it's virtually an impossibility, isn't it?
Yeah, it
So
is.
it's just to sustain it. I mean, it's unsustainable. That's kind of what that is saying to me.
And that is a definite, you just can't please everybody all the time. I've never seen justice in that way. But looking at this card, you know, there are people who try to please everybody and it just doesn't work.
No,
yeah.
It has no chance. It has no chance. Whoever you save, it's going to be at somebody else's expense. It's you know, it's like whatever, and they say that, don't they, about the planet? Like, you know, if you're giving to one country or place, somebody else is losing out.
Wow.
Life just is not that balanced and it is not that fair. That's what that card says to me. I thought it was a pretty cool version of justice.
Yeah, that was. And it isn't fair because you can do everything right. And, you know, good people get terrible diseases and bad people get rich and famous. And it doesn't always balance out, but we've got to do the best we can to keep it balanced around us.
I think life is a mixture of, sometimes you have to make a huge amount of effort to kind of move forward and get what you want, and other times it will just come to you easily. It's just the complexity and bizarreness of life.
Yeah.
And it is. If you're expecting fairness all throughout for every kind of scenario, you're in for a very rude awakening.
True. Yeah, I think we stopped believing in that when we're about, I don't know, 5 or 6. It's like we kind of get that, but hope springs eternal type of thing. We always want to believe that things are fair, and we still get shocked when they're not. But
I was saying to my son today that human nature, sorry to interrupt you, but I was saying there seems to be something naturally in human nature, and I think some people suffer from it more than others, but I think there's very few people that don't have this at all, and that is, we always like to have somebody to blame.
That I agree with you 100% there. And there are a lot of people who will absolutely take no responsibility at all for what part they've played in something. Or so yeah. And I try to take responsibility for my part in things, but I'm sure that there are times that I put blame on somebody more than they deserve. I'm sure of it.
Yes, and there'll be times when we get blamed and we didn't deserve it either. And I think it's part of human nature.
I think
it doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it right, but it's some things are easier to accept if you can blame it on someone else or something else.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, Oh, the justice card, you could talk about it till the cows come home. Everybody has got their examples. So whether it literally comes down to the actual law or just personal situations that, well, there's something satisfying when you do come to a solution for something that you feel is very fair on everybody. There's something very nice about that feeling. It just does make you feel quite sort of comfortable.
Yeah, it does.
So I don't know if that's what drives someone to want to be a lawyer or a judge, you know, that or even a policeman, that they want to find fairness and justice in the world. Maybe that is what motivates them. But
Yeah.
it is idealistic.
It is.
So, yeah.
It is, but we need that idealism or it'll all just break down.
Yeah.
And I want to point out one thing before we go. We talked about compromise earlier. And I've seen so many cases where people think that compromise is somebody else giving in to all of their demands. They think that's what compromise is. Compromise is two ways. It's working together. You give some stuff up, you keep some stuff. If it doesn't sting a little bit, it wasn't compromise. It was you just making demands. You know?
I like that. Well, in your Everyday Enchanted, she had the wasps there.
I didn't even notice those.
She had the wasps there, so you might be very right. Yeah, in what you're saying. No, it's a fascinating card. And on that note, where are we going next? The Hanged Man.
The Hanged Man. Yeah, I'm excited about him. I'm very excited about him. So
the next time I see you, Sharon, I expect to see you hanging from the ceiling.
Not gonna happen.
Not fair. I mean, I've turned up to these videos with knives and crowns. Least you could do is kind of swing from the ceiling, Sharon. What's wrong with you? Pull your weight.
So leave us a like, please.
That's all we want. All we want is the things somebody will do for a like. Never mind a subscriber.
Subscribe and leave the comments and let's make our 2021 Justice Reversed It's Not Fair list.
Yes.
And guys, I am not a vigilante. I'm not an outlaw. I'm a really nice person.
Yes.
Took you long enough. Bye.
Bye for now.
Thank you for engaging with us. Please like, subscribe and share. To book a personal, in-depth reading and to learn more about our incredible courses in tarot and astrology, please visit our website www.thepomegranate.grove.com.